Now, last week, we showed you part one of our interview with Nebraska Farm Bureau President Steve Nelson. This week, we finish our conversation where we discuss how he became leader of the organization and what he thinks makes farming in Nebraska so special.
Well, I'm the elected leader of the organization here in Nebraska. We have a board of directors made up of 12 people who are all farmers and ranchers. You have to be a farmer rancher to be on our board of directors, and I am also a full-time farmer and rancher, although I spend a lot of time doing my job as the leader, the president of Nebraska Farm Bureau, and have the support of my son Scott and his family who keep the farm going when I'm not there, and I really couldn't do this without them. It's always important to say that. And I think it's also important for people who don't know how Farm Bureau works. We're very much a grassroots organization. In Nebraska, we have 85 county farm bureaus, 85 organized county farm bureaus. Now we have a few counties who go together, so 2 counties are together. We have members in all 93 counties in the state of Nebraska, so if there's not an organized county farm bureau in your county, you can be a member of a neighboring county. So we have members in every county in the state of Nebraska, and we have our members represent really everything that we grow and produce in the state of Nebraska. So we're a general farm organization. We have to balance the needs of people in the livestock part of the industry, or in the grain part of the industry, in the organic part of the industry. So as we come together to develop policy, and this again is a very grassroots process where farmer and rancher members from each county come together and talk about issues that are important to them, issues that are important to their families and to the future of their farms and ranches. Those are active farmers as well. They form policy at the county level, then we discuss that, and those policies that pass at the state level become our state policy. And then issues related to national affairs then go on to the American Farm Bureau annual meeting, where delegates from each of the 50 states and Puerto Rico come together to pass the policy that we work on for our members at the national level as well.
Definitely. Okay, so born and raised in Nebraska, been farming and ranching in Nebraska, yes?
Yes.
So what makes farming and agriculture in Nebraska so special?
Well, and again, I think a lot of people in my position might say something similar to this, but this, for me, there's probably 2 things, but the most important thing is really to be able to continue to be successful as we move into the future. I'm the 5th generation on our farm. My mother still lives on the homestead where my great-great-grandfather came, and my son lives where my great-grandfather lived.
Wow.
So that history is very important to us, that tradition is very important to us, but that would be a very similar story for lots of people. So if my grandchildren decide to farm, and they're fairly young right now, they would represent the 7th generation farming in our area, and I would like them to have that opportunity. So a lot of the reason that I'm doing what I'm doing is to make sure that we have a great future for young people in agriculture, and I really think that we do. There's huge opportunities today, but we need to make sure that those opportunities are there well into the future. And then the second thing that I think that it's important, and I think it's something that we're less likely to think about. I think a lot of people farm because they like farming. I love farming, and when I was in college, all I wanted to do was farm. And I never thought that I would be sitting here talking to you like this, or be president of Nebraska Farm Bureau. What I wanted to do was farm, and I still love farming and want to farm. I don't think most of us that farm and love farming understand the importance of what we do. We grow food for people around the world, and today farmers and ranchers grow food for more people than they've ever provided for before. If you go back to when Farm Bureau was first started in the early 1900s, farmers were primarily feeding their own families, and at that time maybe feeding 10 or 15 other people besides their family.
People in the community, sure.
Yes. So today the statistics are somewhere around 150, 165, somewhere in there that the average farm or ranch feeds, and of course this is all in averages, and people understand that. But then if you think about the fact too that in Nebraska farms are about 2.5 times the size of the average farm in the country, it is really understated, I think, how important what we do here in agriculture is as far as it relates to feeding people in the world. So I always tell folks when I talk that you have to remember that what we're doing is just very, very important, and that we like to do it. We need to have some profit in that because we can't continue to do that if we don't have some profit. But we are doing a very, very important thing, and so those are really the reasons why I'm involved like I am.
And you mentioned your farming operation. I'd like to hear a little bit more about it.
So we're in south central Nebraska, about 20 miles straight south of Kearney, and we farm mostly in Kearney County, a little bit in Franklin and Phelps County. It's very highly irrigated area. Almost all of what we farm is irrigated. On our farm, we grow corn, soybeans, and we also grow some hybrid seed corn. Most of the corn and soybeans that we grow go towards animal feed. So it's a step in that process of again feeding people around the world, providing the food that is needed around the world. The vast majority of our commercial corn would go through an ethanol plant before it becomes cattle feed or before it becomes livestock feed. So we're fortunate to have an ethanol plant very close to us, and so that's an important piece of where our product goes. But certainly we take advantage of the great water resources that are there, and over the years I've seen how important it is to make sure that we manage those water resources so that they're available for future generations as well.
All right, so I know you're excited about this. Nebraska Farm Bureau getting into the insurance game. Yeah. So tell us how all that came about and what you'd like our viewers to know about it.
Sure. Well, we recently announced a new health care program for farmers and ranchers and for members who are in the associated agribusiness areas as well. I think everyone knows that we've had increasing costs in health care, and the availability of health care, particularly for those who are in the individual marketplace, has become less and less attainable. There's been less choices there, and the costs have been higher. Deductibles have been higher, and so we've been looking for ways to help our members, our farmers and ranchers particularly, find more choices to be able to save some money. So we've been able to put together a consortium and partner with Medica to provide health insurance to farmers and ranchers who would be the main part of the initial pool. We're expecting, and we've seen initially, some savings in the 20 to 25% range for some very good health care coverage. At this point, those who are in the related farm supply type businesses that contribute to agriculture, our program doesn't have as high of discounts for those because we don't have the pool that we need yet. We're hoping as we move forward in the future that we can provide increased savings for them as well. It's important to note that you have to be a member of Nebraska Farm Bureau as of July 1st to sign up for this, for this year's enrollment period. So right now it's limited to those that are already members of Nebraska Farm Bureau. But we are very, very excited about this. This is something that we've heard from our members as we've done listening sessions around the state, that along with those other issues that we talked about earlier, the availability of health care and the cost of health care have been huge issues to the bottom line for farmers and ranchers, and it also has had a big effect on the culture of farming and ranching, because in a lot of cases one spouse or the other has maybe had to leave the farm either to earn enough money to be able to buy health care or to find a job where health care is part of that job. So we're hoping that this is something that will be very good for our members. We think that it will be, and that's one of the ways that we can serve our members and and provide for the needs that they have.